Well, the world's creepiest porn lawyer has gotten very famous recently by attacking Donald Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen. That's probably been good for his business. On the downside, all of this has invited heightened scrutiny of his own past business ventures. Trace Gallagher has more on that. Hey, Trace.
Hi, Tucker. When Tully's Coffee went bankrupt 5 years ago, Michael Avenatti's investment firm bought the company at auction for just over $9 million. Since then, the Seattle Times says Avenatti's company has been named in more than 50 state and federal complaints, including commercial lawsuits and warrants for unpaid taxes. Washington state lawyer David Nold says Avenatti carried out an illegal pump and dump scheme where he ran the Tully's coffee shops, withheld state and federal taxes from his employees, but then didn't pay his state and federal taxes. Avenatti responds by denying the claims and calling David Nold a, quote, unethical hack of a lawyer, despite the fact that the Washington State Bar Association says Nold has no record of ethical or other violations. But Michael Avenatti also claims Tully's Coffee has long been under new ownership, and yet in court testimony last year, Avenatti reportedly listed himself as the chairman and principal of Tully's. And now we know Avenatti hasn't just faced business tax liens. We found records dating back 7 years of personal tax liens, both state and federal, for $1.5 million, including a $300,000 federal tax lien from just 3 months ago. Tucker.
Big lien. Trace, thanks. Quick programming note. Last night, we mentioned the creepy porn lawyer you've just been hearing about, the one you've seen on TV recently threatening people. And it got us thinking, so we checked. According to the Washington Free Beacon, between March 7th and yesterday, that guy appeared on CNN and MSNBC 108 times. That's according to one source. The real number could be higher than that. Anyway, it's a lot of CNN and MSNBC, and we thought we would add a little diversity to his media diet, diversity, of course, being our strength. So we invited the creepy porn lawyer onto this show. We called his office, or what he said was his office. It may have been a booth at a Wendy's in Passaic, maybe a White Castle, you never know. In any case, he turned us down flat. Too bad. Would have been fun. Maybe when Jeff Zucker tires of him over at CNN, he will reconsider our offer. That won't be long. We'd enjoy it. Instead, tonight, we're joined by someone who is not an actual porn lawyer, but has closely followed the career of the guy we were just talking about. Julian Epstein is a former chief counsel to Democrats in the House Judiciary Committee, and he joins us tonight. Julian, thanks a lot for coming on. So,
good evening, Tucker.
There's a bit of a disconnect here. The argument from Democrats from day one has been that President Trump is too shady to be president. In order to make that case, they're now using a creepy porn lawyer with a history of financial problems. Is he really the best standard bearer for your message, would you say?
Well, I think Michael Avenatti has been effective on television. I think he's been effective in advancing the interests of his client, and he's used television much more effectively than most lawyers do. I'm not sure he is the standard bearer for Democrats. I think he has... I think the Stormy Daniels issue, to be honest, I think Essential Consultants, I think, is a sideshow. I think there is nothing in Essential Consultants' story that we know where there's any laws that are necessarily broken, but I think there are relevant questions that should be asked about was Essential Consultants being used for a Russian slush fund, a campaign finance slush fund, for laundering money. Lots of things that people have kind of been breathlessly alleging, but there's no evidence of. I think there's questions to be asked,
there's no,
but certainly no evidence of any legal violation. But I don't think that's the central issue. I still think, if I can just finish the point, Tucker, I still think the central question here for Democrats, as far as Democrats are concerned, is whether the president knew or was actively involved in Russian interference in any way. And there's no evidence of that. I'm not saying there's evidence of that.
And by the way, I agree, but then why? Look, I think that is a central question. There's no evidence more than a year in. Maybe we're going to find out that he teamed up with Putin to steal the election from Hillary. Probably not going to find that out. But for the point, right now, it's all about the creepy porn lawyer. And I'm wondering, like, what exactly is the point of this? I don't know what the interests of his client are. I don't know who he represents. I do know I'd be very uncomfortable if he got a hold of my confidential bank records, wouldn't you?
Well, I think we need to find out how he got the information, for sure. I think there are questions there. But to be honest, Tucker, I think your indictment is of the industry that you're a participant in, which is the cable television industry. I think it is the obsession of the cable television industry. I think Bob Mueller and the Democrats, for their part, are not necessarily obsessed
hold
about
on,
this,
Julian,
although
you've
it
been doing
does
this
raise
a long
money.
time. Cable
Look,
responds to ratings. I don't think he's been on this channel. As I just said, we tried to have him on the show because I want to meet this guy. He should
come on this show.
I think it'd be amusing as hell, but he's too busy on the other channels whose viewers are responding. That's why Jeff Zucker's put him on, every day for 2 months. So he really is one of the most famous Democrats in America. He's a partisan Democrat. He worked on Democratic campaigns, dozens of them. So what does that tell you?
But I don't think that's where the Democratic Party is right now. I mean, I think what Avenatti is doing is relevant because it gets to whether there were campaign finance violations with the Stormy Daniels payment. It gets to whether Essential Consultants was being misused as a Russian slush fund, as a campaign finance slush fund.
But how would creepy porn lawyer know about the Russian connection? Like, what expertise does he have? I mean, is he like a Russian speaker or an expert on Russian slush funds?
I don't want to get off subject, but Essential Consultants, Michael Cohen's law firm, had a client whose principal beneficiary, whose principal benefactor was a Russian oligarch connected to Putin.
Right, no, I read the story.
So there are questions there, Tucker.
What does that have to do with creepy porn lawyer?
I just want to make another point.
Yeah, very quick.
I want to make another point because I don't think that he is a standard bearer for Democrats. I think what Democrats are saying is not impeachment, not that Trump violated criminal laws, but let's get the facts on the table. We know that people around Trump,
I've heard
who were considered to be Russian agents.
Let me ask you, we're almost out of time.
No evidence that Trump did that.
Right, and maybe we'll find out again that he teamed up with Putin.
Right, but that's where Democrats
let me just ask you one last question, and please answer honestly. Picture yourself standing in your kitchen at night, getting one last glass of water from the kitchen sink, and you look out into the backyard, and there's creepy porn lawyer. How do you respond?
Well, I live in an apartment building, so I don't think I'd be able to see him if I looked out.
Let's see you see him in the
kitchen.
alley outside. How do you respond? What's your gut reaction? You see that guy in your backyard. How do you respond?
I would invite Avenatti in because I'd have a lot of questions I'd like to talk to him about. If I saw anybody outside my if I saw anybody outside my kitchen when I was having my last glass of water at night, of course I would be creeped out. So as would you, of course I would.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he's not raising. It doesn't mean, Tucker, that he's not raising some significant issues.
You know what? I'm an open-minded man, as you know, Julian. I'm just raising some important questions, I think. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
We will make America great again.